Boo. It's the 31 Nights of Horror. You were not scared by that. You stop that right now. Mitchell Lea, Tommy Grant, Brandon Tew. It's Press Play Action. It's Jersey Nerds Productions. We had the horror movie draft, and now it's time to watch it's time to watch the movies. It's time to talk about the movies. All that jazz. October's a great month. Let's just go ahead and dive right into the first 6 movies. We had A Quiet Place Part 2, Dr. Sleep, The Conjuring 2, and 1408. So we're just going to go in order, guys, starting off with A Quiet Place. Brandon went the back-to-back first overall pick of Quiet Place and Quiet Place Part 2. This first one released on April 6th, 2018, directed by John Krasinski, starring Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. This was a big hit a few weeks before Avengers Infinity War came out in April of 2018. And I had a very unique experience watching this for the first time because this was during the last few weeks that Brandon worked at the movie theater with me.
That is true, yeah.
I had a manager that was like, I have some stuff that I need to get done. Do you want me to just like, the key just went for A Quiet Place, just went live about 10 minutes ago. Do you want me to just put it on? It's a short movie. I've got some stuff to do. By the time I'm done, the movie will be over. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I was the only person in the building to watch this movie.
Pretty cool.
And
I guess that's one of the perks to work in the movie theater.
That is a perk.
Yeah, but also it was scary because I was so alone and it was so quiet. It was a very different experience than I'd ever had watching a horror movie before.
A Quiet Place in a quiet place.
Right.
Very much so. Yeah, it was ideal conditions. And this was a movie that was in my top 10 of 2018. And when I eventually get to 2018, I think it will still be in my top 10 because I love this movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It got dangerously close to Hall of Fame, and it might be in it. This movie is fucking awesome. This movie is sick. It just is.
A simple concept.
Yeah, it's a simple concept, but it's so good.
You don't need much to it, and honestly, I think there's a directorial debut for John Krasinski.
Yes, it was.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it put him on the board. I mean, that was a great start for him, and obviously, being able to work with your wife, having that chemistry already, definitely helped in the film because obviously, having a husband and wife, probably a husband and wife, have that already built-in chemistry that you don't have to worry about in a horror movie because a lot of times you get just really crappy actors because you're just looking for cheap actors for horror movies. But having that kind of quality acting already in it sets you up for success.
And the two performances from the younger people in the cast are like great. Like they're very well done. The concept, like having the daughter be like hard of hearing and like they already use sign language, already like have their own like communication system like built in. So like it's kind of interesting.
What was cool about that concept was the actress herself was actually deaf and she taught the whole cast how to use sign language.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Again, the authenticity of the movie too. Like it's you're seeing all the actors actually use accurate sign language because they were all taught how to do it.
So, yeah, it's like
there were a lot of people.
Concept, you know what I mean? It's like a built-in concept. It's like, oh, we have like this story, like background, this plot that we can like build off of.
Yeah,
that was like interesting.
There were a lot of people that thought that Emily Blunt could get an Oscar nomination for this movie, which is crazy for a horror movie released in April. It didn't end up happening, but I wish that it did because she is really, really good here. I mean, the scene where she's about to give birth. The scene where she steps on that nail.
Oh my God.
This movie puts her through absolute hell.
The physical, like facial reactions of her.
Yeah, it is awesome. A bit gimmicky in the whole like the whole point of and maybe that's just because now there's 3 of these movies. The whole like, hey, we have to stay quiet type of thing. But I'll be damned if it doesn't use the gimmick really well. I think that John Krasinski directs the absolute shit out of both of these movies. They're
Mm-hmm.
a great job. I think the score is really good in
Yes.
these. I mean the scene with the kid at the beginning of the movie really sets the tone for
Dude,
the
that
whole
was
thing.
nuts.
I
Nuts.
remember people were talking about this opening with this kid when this came out, and it was like it was the talk of the town of like,
Yeah, the rocket.
man,
Yeah.
once that happened, you were just in it, weren't you?
Yeah, no, I mean, and the world building too. Like we talk about world building sometimes, Mitchell. Like I just think the concept of like the world that they created, like you see it starts in like day 89, and it's like they've already built like this system and this like world that they're living in, and then it immediately jumps to like what, day 472, and it's like, okay, now they've got the system even more down and like it's more locked. And it's just the world building is also very good. Honestly, it's and it talks about like relationships and like I guess in the first movie it doesn't really touch on this as much as it could, but when the son is talking to the dad at the waterfall and he's like, well, she thinks you like hate her, like she thinks you like, the daughter thinks that you like don't love her anymore because of that incident with the rocket. And it's like, that's like a powerful thing that like maybe you should tell people you love them more, and like you shouldn't act like the way you do and stuff like that. So it's just, yeah, I mean, we can get into it, but like the ending of this movie is really powerful as well. So it kind of has like a really powerful opening sequence and then a really powerful ending sequence, and then it like immediately jumps in when we get to part two into like day one of the like what happens. And it's like
Yeah.
that threw me for a loop when I first saw part two. I was like, wait, we're going back to the beginning, because I thought it was like it was going to be a sequel. I
So
was like, well, that's kind of crazy.
before we jump into the sequel, I think one of the biggest parts that I really liked about the first movie compared to even the prequel and the sequel
Yeah,
is the reliance on the silence. Like even with the score, you have those moments where it's just pure silence to get yourself into the vision of their heads. And just the way they use that, and also the physical acting, because obviously you're in a movie where everything is supposed to be silent, so there's no very little dialogue. So you
yeah,
have to rely on that physical acting and facial expressions to really give off what they're doing. And that whole scene that Mitchell was referencing earlier with, Emily Blunt, just the way she carried herself throughout that scene was like, I can definitely see why she was considered for possibly getting an Oscar nomination, because it was just phenomenal acting, which you don't get in many horror movies. So like that was just a rare
no,
thing too.
yeah. Well, we also got to talk. We got to touch on this. Like, horror movies are built on like sounds and like jump
Yes.
scares and like creating sound that like scares people. And to take a concept of, we're gonna have a quiet movie where the horror is like you can't hear things,
Yes.
is very like unique concept. And
It,
so
it,
that's where I think it's like a genius way of like
yeah.
packaging this movie basically.
It proves that it's a perfectly made movie, because you take any horror movie and you turn the sound off and you just watch it with no sound, usually not very scary. So
Right.
having that element of just removing the sound and still having a scary movie, like, kudos to John Krasinski for that, and whoever came up with that concept.
I remember seeing the trailer for this movie first with Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and I knew
Mm,
nothing about it, but I remember seeing it and going, "That is a brilliant concept for a horror movie. I can't wait to see how they do it." And then it
Yeah.
lived up to the expectation of that and then some. I'm gonna give this an A. 79.10. It's definitely one of my favorites that we've watched for this series, and it's been one of my favorites. This isn't one of those where I'm like, well, it's shrunk on me a bit over time. It hasn't. It's still great.
yeah. I'm gonna go like a grade higher than you basically. I'm gonna go A plus 73.4.
Ooh.
I think it's a
So
great
so
movie.
we're not quite in the Hall of Fame, but we're close.
But we're close. I mean, it's right there. And rewatching this movie, I was like, this is such a brilliant concept.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the best horror movies of the decade. Like, it is. Like,
I'd agree
flat
with
out.
that.
I'm kind of right in the middle. I gave it an A-95. It was almost
Okay.
almost
All
A plus.
right.
Sorry, almost A plus territory.
Yeah, I mean, look, for a directorial debut in a horror movie with no sound, you would think that
Yeah.
you wouldn't get this high of grades. Like it's a brilliant concept in a great movie. So Quiet Place Part Two, kind of already
Yeah.
mentioned it. They kind of just go all the way back to the beginning, and they're like, "There's just day one or whatever," and it's like, first
Well,
of all, that throws
they
you for a loop.
start
It
there.
does. No, it starts there, and it like throws you for a loop for a second because you're like, okay, this is a sequel, but it was cool to like get the backstory of like what actually happened and not just we're in this world with creatures basically attacking people, um, which I appreciated. And I will say, I'm just gonna get out in front of this. Cillian Murphy, his addition to this movie is phenomenal. He is very good in this movie.
So I
Well,
have a
yeah.
kind of a hot take on this film.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a good thing. I know I see Mitchell's eyes already rolling. This
He's
so
like, oh no, he's gonna say Cillian Murphy should have been in this movie.
this movie with Cillian Murphy is what 28 years later should have been.
Mm.
The whole him living on his own, trying to survive on his own, isolated, battling all these
A
monsters.
true sequel.
That's what
Yeah.
28 years later should have been.
Yeah.
And we
A
were
true
robbed of
sequel.
that.
Yeah. You know what? I don't hate that take.
And
That's
honestly,
what
I
they.
One of
didn't
your
realize she was in
worst.
this movie. I had I never saw this movie until now. I had no
Yeah.
idea he was in the movie until I saw him on screen. I'm like, holy shit! I did not realize.
I forgot that he was in this.
You honestly you don't even realize that he's in it when he like has a beard. You're like, because it looks
Yeah.
nothing like him. Like
He's
it's
like-
just.
I remember that Jimon Hansu was in it, but I forgot
Yeah.
that Cillian Murphy was.
They didn't
Um,
promote him at all when it came to like the trailer and stuff like that. Like
Which is
I would've
an interesting
remembered.
concept.
No,
Interesting
they
concept. too.
did, but it was very minimal. It
It was like,
wasn't.
oh, here's Killian.
Yeah.
By the way,
You have Cillian Murphy in a movie, you fucking promote him, especially when he has that big of a role.
Yeah. So John Krasinski returns to direct this. Emily
his
Blunt,
character
Cillian Murphy,
returns.
Millicent.
5
His
minutes?
character returns for a tiny bit. Now this was an interesting movie for me as far as the historics of it, because I remember I had advanced screening tickets to see this a few days before it came out. Me, my fiance, and Joshua Kornmeyer, a good buddy, Brandon. We're gonna go see this in Charlotte.
I wasn't invited to this advanced screening.
But the screening never happened because about 3 days before the screening, we got word that Rudy Gobert tested positive for coronavirus,
yeah,
and the movie was gonna come out the next week, and it got delayed because everything shut down, and it didn't come out for over a year by
Yeah.
that point. Like they were advertising it, people had already seen the movie and were talking about that it was really good, and it got delayed from March of 2020 to May 28th, 2021. And so this was one of the big movies that like people were like, okay, movie theaters are open, let me go check this out. And this was one that I was really pumped for. And I've got to say that while I am nowhere near, I'm not as high on this as I was the first one. I
Mhm.
think that the pacing of the first movie is just immaculate, and this one I definitely felt a little bit of the. I mean, it's a quick movie, but whenever it wasn't Millicent Simmons and Cillian Murphy, I wanted it to be. I didn't find Emily Blunt's storyline and Noah Jupe's storyline quite as interesting as I did everything with those two characters. I mean, you're kind of right about the whole 28 years later thing because it's the two of them, almost like Aaron Taylor Johnson and his kid at the beginning of the movie. There's even a scene on like a train where they come across something similarly to what it was in 28 years later.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm
So
saying.
I get that
The vibe.
that comparison.
Robbed,
Yeah, the vibes are the
Um,
same. I will say this, Mitchell, though. I think everything to do with the island is a unique concept, and I have a feeling there's going to be a part 3 at some point.
Well, yeah, there is. It was actually just delayed. It was supposed to come out next year, but it's going to come out in 2027 now.
Hmm.
So yeah, we are getting and not another spinoff, A Quiet Place Part 3, because this movie just kind of fucking ends. It is
Yeah.
Yeah,
one of
it's
my
very
complaints
weird.
with the movie. We've talked
Yeah.
about a lot of just sudden ends, especially with Spielberg. Uh, but this may be the most sudden ending,
This is like Jaws,
other than
but
another
on
movie that we'll talk about next week, that I've
true.
ever seen.
Yeah, this is like Jaws, but on like steroids. Like they're just
Yeah.
like you defeat the monster and then it just cuts. Like
Because I
like,
remember thinking,
with the
like, oh, okay, they got something here. I wonder what they. I'm leaving the theater now.
yeah, with A
All
Quiet
right, I
Place
guess
Part
I'll
One,
grab
at
my
least you
things.
like honestly, I thought the ending to Quiet Place Part One was genius because it was like Emily Blunt's character like cocking the shotgun, and you were like, oh, okay, like there's gonna be a sequel. Like you
Yeah.
were like, yeah, I'm pumped. And with this one, it like she kills one of the monsters, and then it just like cuts, and it's like, okay, we don't have it, we can't get like any other story there, like another 3 minutes. Like just
Well,
give me
it
something.
pretty much picked up right away in the sequel, though. So it's kind of it's kind of that storytelling where it's like we're just gonna cut it cold and let you wait for the next movie,
So
and we're
you
gonna
almost need to watch these back to back to back. I mean,
yeah.
which
I
is
mean,
kind
I
of
think that's
like an
kind of how
interesting
he's
way to
designed
tell, but yeah.
I mean, even with the prequel, because I'm gonna butcher his name, but he was in the prequel movie, um, and they
Joseph
kind of even
Quinn?
referenced it. What?
Joseph Quinn?
No, no. Well, that movie, yeah, but uh,
Jimon
Are you
Hansu?
yeah,
yeah,
you're talking about Jimon Hansu, yeah.
yep. I don't even know how to pronounce the name, so I was gonna butcher it. Yeah,
Because
he-
Jimon, what they do with Jimon's character and they put him on the island, you're like, okay, now we get the backstory of his character. Like
well,
that's why I like the prequel. You
because he
know?
made that comment like in the movie where he was like, yeah, like the boats came and everything like that, and in the city, and obviously the ending of the prequel was them getting on the boats to leave the city. So
Right.
like, they reference it and they
I
kind of
mean, yeah, I will say this, Tommy. The world building that they're doing with this concept, you can do 18 movies. I mean, I don't think they should, but you can't. It's a lot like 28, the 28 Days Later franchise. Like you can do stuff
as,
with it.
as long as we don't get any like American Power Rangers showing up in the next movie, I think we'll be off to a good start and we can keep
Yeah.
Yeah, I
making
would prefer
movies.
that not happen.
It's just crazy. You can like do a bunch of stuff with it because of the way like
Yeah.
it's built. Is like the creatures are going to be there because of we don't know how many there are. Like we really
And
don't. Like
honestly,
we just don't
they've
know how
barely
many.
cracked the surface on like how humanity's adopted from this, because the first movie obviously is just the family, and the only other character you really meet is that one random old man in the woods who screams to basically commit suicide.
Yeah, because his wife is killed. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then the sequel, we finally get some like
You're like, oh, there's an island. So it's
there's
a lot like
actually
28
there's
years
some
later, actually.
humanity left.
Right.
Granted, they basically get butchered in the movie, but
Right, but there's probably other islands. Is kind of like the point. Is like there's
yeah.
other places. There's like this probably didn't just happen in one spot. As
So
we see with the prequel, it happened in New York City too. So like,
this has potential to be like an expanded kind of franchise universe. If
I
they
mean, The Walking Dead has expanded zombie apocalypse stuff to unknown universes
Yeah.
with the amount of stuff that they've been able to create. So I am kind of excited for that, but I'm also like, don't go too overboard. Like, I don't need a Quiet Place Part 5 if the story doesn't make sense. But I'm cool with the Part 3. You know, like I'm excited for it. So I am kind of bummed it was delayed. I didn't realize it was delayed. So
Well,
that's
Oh
and
yeah.
the one scene I really liked in this movie too, action wise, was in the beginning with Emily Blunt's car scene.
yeah, that was a good one.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
that was a single take shot, and she did the whole thing herself. Like that was her driving the whole stunt. So Emily
And
Blunt's
the way it's shot too
she's
is like,
badass.
okay, that's a cool like shot by Krasinski. Like whoever came up with that like shot, like that's a really cool idea. So like yeah, just yeah, not as good as the first one, but still an awesome horror movie, and I think we're off to a great start with 31 Nights of Horror.
All right, I gave this an A minus 94.21.
Ooh, we're like right on the money. I gave it A minus 90.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm a little bit higher. I gave it a 5.2, but same ballpark.
Okay. So we're definitely operating in the same space. So let's go a few months before this was supposed to come out. This is why part of the reason why I think the movie didn't do well financially. We're talking about Dr. Sleep now. The sequel to The Shining. This movie did not. It had a budget of $50 million, made 72. It came out November 8th. Who releases a horror movie
that was
on
like
November
Tenet,
8th?
Right? That was like Tenet, right? It came out like around Tenet, and it was
Tenet came out. Tenet came out in August of 2020.
In August? Oh, it was August.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was pre-COVID.
That's right. That's right. My fault.
This was directed by Mike Flanagan, who made Oculus. He made Ouija: Origin of Evil. He made Gerald's Game, and for the most, what the hell? That doesn't fit any of this at all. He also made this year's Life of Chuck. So I guess
that is a great movie. So
yeah,
Mike Flanagan,
I guess he really likes he likes Stephen King stuff. But this is
he's one of my favorite horror directors in not so much in the movies but in TV shows. He's made
he also did Haunting a Hill House, right?
He has 4 series on Netflix. So he started with Haunting of Hill House, which is hands down my favorite horror.
That's a really good TV series, right?
It's my favorite. Like that was my favorite horror TV show of all time. Then he made.
Did he do any Stephen King stuff? Did he do like The Mist or something?
Sure, but he made 3 other shows. One was Midnight Mass, which was actually pretty good. I can't remember the other 2. One was another haunted house type story.
Yeah, but he's like a horror. This is his like wheelhouse, I guess. Yeah, this is his wheelhouse. Is like the horror genre.
Yeah.
Like which is funny that he did Life of Chuck, but
I feel like Mike Flanagan and James Wan are like the leading horror directors in this decade.
No, fair.
Well, you've got Jordan Peele, you've got Robert Eggers.
You've got they're not the only 2, but they're definitely
Zach Kreger now coming at it.
Yep.
Zach Kreger's on one. I can't wait
if Ryan Coogler wants to keep going down this path, he's certainly proven that he can.
So
and he should.
Can we just say
by the way,
The Shining? I don't love The Shining. Dr. Sleep is such a better constructed movie.
All right, now we're just saying dumb shit. Okay.
No, I mean The Shining's good. I just don't think it's like a Hall of Fame A+ movie. You know, I think it's good.
I do have it as an A+ movie. And fun fact,
no, I do too. I'm just saying I don't think it's like a 75 A+. I think it's like an A+1 or whatever. You know, like I think it's good.
Okay, that's fair. Fun fact: I watched this movie for the first time in June of 2019 when I was recovering from a shoulder surgery, and Sarah and I watched it, and literally, when we get done watching it, I go on my phone, I go onto Twitter, and I see first trailer for Shining sequel Dr. Sleep, and I had never heard of this movie being a thing. I was convinced it was fake. I'm like, there's no way that the timing is just too weird. Like, my phone's got to be listening to me. Like, there's no chance. And I watched the trailer, and I'm like, this looks excellent. I can't wait to see it. And then I saw it, and I really liked it. But I didn't love it the way that I wanted to. And my opinion on that hasn't changed.
That's
I
fair.
really like this movie. It's
you didn't
very
let me
long.
finish my thought. But
go ahead.
Continue.
Did you watch the director's cut?
No. I was saying I think it's a better constructed story. It's not a better movie.
Okay.
If that kind of makes sense.
Explain.
I think The Shining is just all over the place. And Stephen King has said, like, he hates it. Like, he thinks it's, like, the worst, like, rendition of his movie, like, his stories.
That
like,
would
ever.
be false.
Like, it's just all over the place. Like, what do you mean that would be false?
He
literally
thinks
has come out and said he hates The Shining.
Have you seen The Dark Tower, Stephen King?
I agree. It's not. I don't think it's the worst King movie. I think it's the worst. he specifically says it's the worst adaptation of his movies, of his like work of all time. I don't agree with it. I'm just saying The Shining is all over the place. Like you don't really ever like know what The Shining is truly about until like the very end of The Shining. And then when you get
It
to
takes
this
its
movie,
time.
yeah, and then when you get to this movie, you're like, oh, like The Shining makes so much more sense now. Like that's
Well,
kind of the thought process I
that's
had
kind of
was like The
the
Shining makes more
problem
sense.
with the Shining franchise is the Shining movie itself. Stephen King did come out and basically say like it was like again the worst adaptation of any of his works that's ever been made. And
I don't agree with that because the Dark Tower exists, but yes,
well,
Yeah.
again, that's from Stephen King.
right.
So you have the Shining movie, which diverted a lot from the source material, and then obviously there's the Doctor Sleep novel, which Mike Flanagan tried to adapt while also trying to make a sequel to the movie that did not follow the source material. So he kind of had to blend the two worlds together.
Yeah.
I think he did a good job with what he was dealt with.
And that's what I was gonna get at was like I think Mike Flanagan does a good job given what he's given, and then also blending it. I do agree with Mitchell. I don't think it's a better movie. I think the problem with Doctor Sleep, and Mitchell might agree with this, I think the pacing and some of the like slowness of the movie
Yeah.
definitely shows up
Well, and
in certain parts of the movie.
The
that's one of the
pacing is
one thing-
balls in this movie.
That's the
It's
one
2.5
thing I don't like
hours.
with both movies, both The Shining and Doctor Sleep, is they're both very long, slow movies. The Shining obviously is more of a slow seeping into madness kind of film, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
Doctor Sleep was just long for no reason.
I think Jack Nicholson makes The Shining personally.
Yeah.
Because if you put any other actor in that role and you have them slowly go into madness, I just don't think it works as well. And I think Jack Nicholson nails it. When we're getting to Doctor Sleep in this side of it, I think just the pacing, like Mitchell says, it's tough.
We
Like
had
that's what brings the movie down.
scenes that really could have been cut out,
Yeah,
and a lot of just extra nonsense that happened, and you kind of lose track of what the movie's even going for. And the biggest complaint I had, and again, I never read the book, so I don't know how it ended, but just the whole fact that you spent basically 2 hours being hunting these random group of people. You finally get to the mansion, so you're like, oh, we're finally back at the place we want to go to the whole movie. And you're only there for like 5 minutes.
yeah. The hotel only being there for like 5 minutes is just.
I was
weird.
like, I felt like the hotel sequence could have been drawn out more and gone into more depth,
Or
but they kind of dropped on that.
Or we just didn't need it. It felt like it felt like we needed it, but at the same time it was just it wasn't this big payoff the way that you would.
I think he's
hoped
sticking
that
to
it
source
would
material.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, maybe it's
I do think he's sticking to source material there. So like,
but I think that you make a really good point with the Jack Nicholson thing, where you say that there's a really dynamic performance at its core, and Ewan McGregor's performance just that's not really required out of him with this, right? It's just not what they're asking him to do. He's very good at what they're asking him to do, but that's not what they're asking him to do. I think the best part of this movie is Rebecca Ferguson. I think she's incredible here. And everything having to do with her is all of my favorite stuff in this.
So it almost makes me think if you're going to go to the hotel, make it 20 minutes long and have like Danny and Rebecca Ferguson's character, Rose, like battle it out more.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
There's a 3-hour director's cut.
And that's why I was so disappointed with the ending.
Yeah.
And I
kind of want to see the 3-hour director's cut. I think it might be a better movie.
The director's cut is supposedly phenomenal compared to the regular version.
That's so funny.
I kind of am.
Why can't we just release the 3-hour cut then? Like, what are we doing?
Make more money.
Hey, this bombed enough as it is because you released a horror movie in the month of November, but Yeah.
I don't get why you can't release this like October
And I
28th
almost
and it
feel
makes
like
so
a
much
lot of
more
people
money.
didn't realize what Doctor Sleep even was, because most people haven't heard of the Doctor Sleep novel. Everybody knows The Shining.
Right.
And unless you're like a Stephen King fan or a horror fan, you're not going to know what Doctor Sleep is. So a lot of people probably didn't know the hype going into.
I'm a Stephen King guy, and I like Stephen. I love Stephen King.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Neither
know
guys.
this
That's what I'm
was a
saying. Like, it's a very not well known IP in terms of Stephen King's work.
Which is interesting because The Shining does so well in like the 80s.
Yeah.
And yes, Stephen King doesn't like the adaptation, but like that book and that movie take off. And I feel like no one ever talks about Doctor Sleep, and maybe it has to do with the source material and it's just not as good. But I do think it's a cool concept, and like you do get the backstory of like The Shining and like what actually like goes on in Danny's head, and like the one character comes back and is like talking to him and is like, yeah, like when you're at that hotel, it's like plugging you into a 1,000 volt battery and like just charging you up like. So then you're like, okay, now The Shining makes sense. Like Jack Nicholson's character like went crazy because of X, X, and X, not just because he went crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Well, the other thing about the hotel is the other reason I was expecting it to be there for longer was the hotel was torn down after The Shining was made. They rebuilt the entire hotel from scratch.
That's hilarious. Just yeah, that's kind of funny.
They actually took the blueprints from when Kubrick made The Shining and used that to rebuild the entire hotel.
Interesting.
Like you did all that for basically a 10-minute quick sequence. Like,
is the hotel still up? Is it like a
that I don't know.
Is it like a tourist attraction now?
I
would go see it.
It would still be up. I can't imagine.
I mean,
it down.
We can transition to another. I mean, we'll get to this movie, but you know, I might not go in certain rooms. But I wouldn't mind visiting the hotel. Maybe the boiler room. I'll stay out of that, Mitchell. I'll stay out of the boiler room. So you're not a fan of this movie, like at all?
No, I like the movie. I wanted to love the movie, and it just never really let me get to that point. I really, really like it. I think that the direction is strong. It looks great. Most of the performances, you know, the kid that we follow around, Kylie Curran, she's great in this. I think a lot of the side characters, like a lot of the people in Rebecca Ferguson's crew, you know, don't stick them in a wet paper bag because they can't act their way out of it. So I had some problems there, but
I think the only one out of that whole crew is Zach McLaren. I think he kind of has a couple of moments where I'm like, okay, that was good, but other than that, he's the Crow, I think. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, the rest of that group is not. Yeah, I mean, it's just not as interesting as it would be if you went to Rose's character. Like Rose the Hat, like that character is just interesting. And like I guess the Crow is kind of interesting. I really like him in Longmire, and I think Into the West. He's in Into the West too. Like I like him in Longmire, so he can act. But yeah, he's basically the only other character in that crew that I'm like, okay, like I kind of like watching him talk. Everyone else is kind of just there, which is interesting. But I don't know. I'm with you. I don't love the movie, but I mean I like it. I guess I would recommend it to most people. A minus 40.3.
Okay, you're higher than me. I'm at a B plus 66.27.
Okay, yeah. The way you were talking, it made it seem like you were gonna go like B minus. I was like, I can't.
No. I do really like it. I think that there's an edit of this that I would love though, and maybe it's
probably the 3-hour director's cut.
See, I feel like that's going in the opposite direction. I feel like you need to take time off of the thing. But
it'd be 2 hours.
Tommy,
I give it B plus 80.
Okay, which one?
All right, so you've been very much in the middle.
Yeah.
You've been in the middle of us, but a little bit closer to me. Let's go now to our second franchise. We got The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2. So The Conjuring, James Wan directed. 2013 was a fun year for James Wan because he had this movie in July, and then he released Insidious Chapter 2 in September. Yep. So that was just a year where James Wan said, "Fuck all of you, I'm taking over Hollywood."
I really like James Wan's movies when it comes to horror. Yeah. He really knows how to make a good horror movie.
I have not seen Insidious 2, but I have seen the first one, and I like it, but I like these Conjuring movies more. This stars Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson as Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they are basically they come out here to this house in Rhode Island, and they're there's the clocks are stopping at 3:07. There's these paranormal things that just keep on happening. The dog's
There's these witches
dead.
Jumping off the wardrobes on kids.
Yeah, we've got random motherfuckers clapping. So this movie came out right in the middle of summer, July 19th, 2013, and this was a phenomenon. $20 million budget, made $320 million. And this was the horror movie that had everyone, because particularly at this time, if a horror movie was coming out, it was like, oh, great, horror movie. It's going to star a bunch of teenagers that can't act worth a damn, and it's going to be bad. But James Wan kind of helped to steer things back in the direction with studio horror movies.
Yes.
And I got around to this pretty late. I saw this movie for the first time a few years ago, and I remember being like, wow, that was good. I was bored through more of it than I thought that I would be. And in watching this, it's an hour 52 minutes, and I feel like the pacing could use a little bit. Like I felt the runtime a little bit here, but this thing is just so incredibly well directed by James Wan, and you feel the tension, you feel the fear of this family, and you also really like Ed and Lorraine Warren. I think they do a good job of setting them up as people, because I know Brandon and I saw the most recent Conjuring movie.
Yeah.
And that was 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it felt like the movie just did not warrant that kind of runtime at all. It didn't have the scares throughout. It kind of just saved all that stuff for the end. And also, later on in the Conjuring universe, it's been very jump scare reliant. This isn't jump scare reliant. This is actual tension and fear and stuff built up throughout the movie. And I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, I forgot how much of a... I don't want to derail the conversation from the movie, but I forgot how much of a Conjuring cinematic universe there really is. Like, Annabelle movies are the Conjuring related. The Nun is the Conjuring related.
Everything was
the Curse of La Llorona.
Like,
I mean, that's very, very loosely.
Let's put it this way:
it is connected. It's also dog shit, but it's connected.
Patrick Wilson has a spot in Hollywood as Ed Ward for the rest of his life.
I have to ask: does Patrick Wilson have in his contract like every movie has to be directed by James Wan?
Well, they're good duo together. Yeah, they're good duo.
The Insidious franchise, the Conjuring franchise, the Aquaman franchise, all directed by James Wan, all starring Patrick Wilson.
Are we not sure that Insidious isn't connected to The Conjuring somehow? Like,
no, it's completely different.
I know it's completely different, but like you could argue that Patrick Wilson being in it, like it's an Ed Warren spinoff. I don't know.
No, it's not.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Have you seen Insidious?
No, I've seen the first one. I've never seen the second one.
Okay.
Yeah, but I guess my point is I was kind of thrown off by like they keep bringing them back as Ed and Lorraine Warren, and my whole point with this, Mitchell,
bring them back as?
But Tommy, that's my point. Is I now view Patrick Wilson as Ed Warren. Like, if they get anyone else to play Ed Warren, I will riot.
No, they're kind of done with it. That's the thing. It's
they're doing another movie.
No,
they just announced it like a month ago. Yeah, the last rights did so well. They're doing another one. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. This franchise is long dead, in my opinion. But this first one here, hey, it's been long running for a reason, because it was built on a good movie.
Yeah, no, the first one's
this is one of my favorite horror movies of the 21st century.
okay. Fair.
Really? Okay.
I wouldn't
If
go
not
that. I
the
wouldn't go
favorite.
that strong. I think I was talking to Mitchell about it.
No.
I
I think
really
I
like
like it. I like it. I like it a lot. I just don't think it's like the best movie
it.
of
In
the
terms
21st
of,
century.
well, not in terms of story, but just in terms of horror
Mm,
and like the use of practical effects, the use of horror. Like you're not just doing cheap jump scares. You have a decent story, decent acting, and just the cinematography and the score alone really amplify the horror in this movie. Kind of the opposite of Quiet Place, where you didn't need that, but this movie, like it's incredible, and I love watching it every Halloween.
interesting. I'm glad I revisited it because I remember it being not as good as I thought it was. But I watched this and I was like, wow, like both of these movies actually, I was kind of like, James Wan is kind of cooking. I
Oh
was
yeah,
like, this is good stuff.
this and Insidious 1 and 2 were definitely James Wan's like hits when it came to horror.
You want to grade this thing?
Yeah.
I suppose so.
Go ahead, Tommy. Yeah.
Or if
I
you've got
gave
more
it-
to say about this, because I've got actually shockingly little to say about The Conjuring.
No, that's fine. I gave it an A plus 50.
Wait, hold
okay,
up. No. If you gave it an A plus 50, you need to fucking expand.
Why?
I need to hear more about why
Expand
you
your
love
mind.
it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm not near that. I need
You
you to
don't
tell
have to
me.
be. It's a great fucking scary movie. I don't know how else to explain. When I sit down
I
and
do
watch
think
this
the
movie, I'm like,
demonic
this is a
possession
really good,
scenes.
fun fucking horror movie.
I think The Conjuring 2. God, am I gonna get hate
No.
for this? I think The Conjuring 2 does some of like the demonic stuff like kind of a little better. But I think
We're
like
gonna
the
get
overall
to
scare.
Conjuring 2.
I think the overall scariness of the first one is like unmatched. It's a scary movie,
Yeah,
but
and
it doesn't rely on the jump scares like Mitchell was saying. It's not
it's a
jump scare.
perfectly made horror movie, and it doesn't rely on the cheap jump scares, the use of
Mm-hmm.
practical effects, the use of cinematography, the score, everything just makes it a great horror. And honestly, the little bits of comedic humor thrown in there too, with the cop and the camera guy, like just the dialogue between them during the movie was pretty comical.
See,
and
they
then
reminded me too much of the two doofuses from Insidious that I didn't like.
well,
Yeah,
honestly,
now
both by
that's what
James
I'm
Wan,
saying.
you can definitely see the similarities.
That's what I'm saying. It just there's so much similarities. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out Thaisa Farmiga is in The Nun. So
That's
is this just like nepotism throughout this franchise? Like we just
See,
putting
I
the
thought
same
for the
people?
longest time that maybe she was playing a younger version of Lorraine Warren. No, that's not the case.
No.
So
She's just in the movie. Is she even
Yeah.
related to Lorraine? Like you could have spun that to like be like, oh, she's actually related to Lorraine or something, but no, didn't.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm not on the same level as Tommy. I'm not A plus. I'm A 3.5.
Okay, so I'm the low man here. I'm at A minus 58.21.
Yeah,
I wanted
I
to
don't know.
love it, but I couldn't quite get there
We're
the
all over
same
the
way
place with
that
this
I
one.
did with The Conjuring 2, though, because The Conjuring
Okay.
2 is, I think, the superior movie.
Okay.
I loved
Now I need
The
you to
Conjuring
explain
2.
yourself.
Hey,
It
I
is
got
a
no
fun-
problem
it is
doing
a
that.
fun.
Bruv, explain yourself.
It is a very
I
fun
have-
movie, but I feel like it
I've got
copied a
no
little bit
problem
too
with
much from the first one, and they used the CGI in this one was weird. It really took me away from it. But
Okay, so
Explain.
you're probably
Rip-
talking
rip
about
a-
the crooked man stuff, but I think it looked
Yeah.
like that. I think that was a stylistic decision.
Rip a
and not just,
cigarette
like,
and tell me
bad
why it's
CGI. But
Yeah.
okay, so this movie came out in now, Brandon. We need to shame ourselves a little bit here
We didn't see this, right?
because this movie came out June 10th, 2016.
we
Brandon,
never saw
do you know what movie we decided to see on June 10th, 2016? We decided to see Now You See Me 2 instead of this.
I think
I
that's
saw
still
The
a good
Conjuring
decision.
2. I saw The Conjuring 2 a few days later by myself, but I went to see Now You See Me 2 with you instead of
Hey,
this.
I had never seen The Conjuring, so that's why I was like,
honestly, like the thing that bothers me about the release dates with some horror movies, it's like for me, like you should be releasing horror movies around the fall. Like
September, October.
I don't see these as like summer blockbuster movies. But
Oh, I mean, they're
Yeah,
not.
well, it made summer blockbuster money. It had a $40 million budget, made $321 million.
Love this
And another
movie.
fun fact is this is the first horror movie I ever saw in theaters. I just kind of abstained from horror movies because I thought, you know what,
Well, then
I'm not
that had to
built
be
for that.
a you decision. That had to be a you decision when we were together. You had to be like, oh, let's just watch.
No, because I knew that because I saw the trailers for this and I went, fuck, I need to see that in theaters. That looks really good.
I mean, just
and I slowly started
turning upside down the trailer. Like that sold.
Oh yeah, when the crosses rotate. Yeah.
This is
the year before this, 2015, was the year that I started watching like horror movies at home and getting into the genre more. And so it's like, all right, now it's time to take off the training wheels and we'll get to the first horror movie I ever watched next week. I did not start off in the shallow end, folks. I will say that. But yeah, I love this movie. I think that, and this is 2 hours and 14 minutes. So it's just as long as the Conjuring movie that just came out that I bitch endlessly about how it didn't need to be that long. This movie felt shorter to me than the first movie because I felt like they established I liked the family a lot more in this movie. I thought that the dynamic of the family. I liked the girl that's possessed in this.
Amityville person.
The girl that's possessed in this movie is played by, let's see, her name is I think Madison Wolfe. She is really, really good in this. I think she's fantastic. I think the whole family's really, really strong here. Yeah, I like the relationship between Ed and Lorraine more in this. And I think that we talked about how in the fourth one, and I don't just want to make this all about, the fourth one sucks. I don't think it's horrible. It's just not good. The pacing's rough, and it feels like the scares were all just put at the end, and it's like got family drama that it's heavy with for the first 2 acts. This, it feels like the proper mixing of everything that you want in this. I really liked the reveal at the end of the movie where it's like, hey, actually we're not dealing with what we thought we were dealing with. We're dealing with a whole different thing entirely, and it's that bitch the nun. We gotta take care of that. I thought all the horror set pieces were frightening. This was, it felt more exciting to me. I think that The Conjuring went for a little bit more of a feel of dread. Yeah. Whereas The Conjuring 2 had maybe a little bit more spectacle. It had a bit more of a, I don't know, I want to say a summer blockbuster feel to it. It felt a little bit bigger, but the stakes also felt bigger to me as well. And I felt more connected to these characters. And so that's why I personally liked this movie more than this one. I also just felt like the antagonist was better. The whole Bill Wilkins thing and where it goes with that versus the nun. This movie was even better than I remembered it being. And I remembered it being pretty damn good.
Okay. I definitely will agree. I think the antagonist in this one was better than the first. Because the first, you really didn't see her at all in the movie, except for the one moment where she jumps off the fucking wardrobe at the kids. So this one, actually seeing the antagonist both through Bill Wilkins and Valak was kind of cool to see. And Valak was creepy as shit, because that was one of the scenes that freaked me out the most, when you have Ed and Lorraine's daughter in the hallway, who is that? And just seeing the nun just at the end of the hallway, that scared me shitless every time. It's just still creepy.
Oh yeah, the nun is a good, it's just
there's
a good
reason why they made 2 movies based on that character. Granted, they're both awful, but they did it.
Yeah.
So this is my problem with the Conjuring movies as a whole, because while I believe in paranormal activity, I believe in this stuff. some of it is like very over the top, and it makes you think like we're Ed and Lorraine just like the biggest con artist ever. Like they're just out here like making stuff up.
Well,
but then you like yeah, go ahead, Tommy.
that's kind of the big skeptic behind these movies is the whole Ed and Lorraine Warren concept. Obviously, these are all based on their actual lives and the cases, and they got the approval from them. But them in real life were very different people. Like Ed was basically a womanizer and had this big affair with their maid. And there's this whole big thing where they weren't a happy married couple, which
show me that
very,
movie?
very different from the Ed and Lorraine one we get in the movie, where you have this loving couple. Ed's fucking.
You mean where he's singing?
Like,
Take
it's
my
a very different
hand.
Oh, stop.
Like,
Yeah, I don't.
Elvis.
Sorry,
I don't need it to be like. Yes, because I've heard that these two were actually
You
like
jerk.
con artists. Like
It's
they and I understand why, because I've heard, especially as it went further along, as the movies got worse, there's been more complaints about like these people actually sucked. Which when the movies are good, it's like, all right, hey, we're getting some good movies out of this.
yeah,
It is what it
entertainment
is.
value.
I don't care
Entertainment
about
value.
those things. Like,
No, I don't
it's a
either.
movie.
But
Like, I don't care who they are in real life. This is a movie.
No,
I'm
no.
just here for the fun.
look, I'm with you. I'm just purely saying that as the Conjuring universe goes on, it gets more and more over the top, and it's just like there's no way this happened. Whereas, like, I do think the Conjuring 2 is like a decent mix, where like I could still kind of believe like the case file and like what was going on. It was my ultimate point with the Conjuring 2, and I actually think it's James Wan at his best. Like, I think James Wan is like, all right, you guys finally gave me like a demonic possession like thing. Like, let me have this child speaking like tongues to these people real quick.
It's kind of fun with how they do it in the first two movies, where the first movie you have pretty much the cop is the only critic, where he doesn't, or the skeptic, where he doesn't really believe, but you kind of he starts to believe after witnessing all the stuff that he had to go through. Whereas this movie, you have those that are skeptics, that like the cops who like are like, oh, it's just something in the walls, and then they see the chair just move across the room. They're like, yeah, we're fucking out of here. But then you have the media constantly just like, yeah, this is all fake. This is all fake. But then you have the people living in the house that are seeing and witnessing all these things. They're like, no, this is real. So it kind of plays on the viewer too, where you're just like, did this actually happen, or did this?
Do I believe this? Yeah. I will say this: James Wan does a really good job of scrolling the yellow credits at the very beginning, and just like I think it.
Oh, the way these movies open really set the damn tone. And I'll tell you, I'll have to send you the trailer for the second movie that got me like. It was weird how
I remember that trailer very clearly.
Did it just like come over the top?
Text. The way that he just has that text in the music and it just, I was like, this seems like something I need to see.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so going off of that, I'll go ahead and grade. A+, 35.7. I like this movie.
Wow, this man. Okay, now I'm gonna seem like a hater. I don't like that. I gave it an. Where is my grade?
It was a misdirection, Mitchell. It was a misdirection to say it was an A. I thought James Wan was even better. In our group message, I said it was an A. Misdirection. I think it's an A+. It's awesome.
Okay, because I'm at an A 52.80.
No, you're
which
good
is
guy,
basically identical, just a touch higher than Smile 2. And I left feeling very similar, where I was like, wow, I really liked the first one. I loved the second one because I felt like I was more endeared to these characters, and I felt like it went bigger in a way that I appreciated, and I felt like maybe it was a more confident approach from the director. Not that the first one wasn't.
Too, not that like disgusting stuff doesn't happen in The Conjuring 2 and like it's shocking stuff, but Smile 2 like hits you over the head with like shocking stuff. Where I don't know if I love that movie as much as The Conjuring.
That relies more on the jump scare factor.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But I think it does it really effectively.
I can't wait to be higher than Tommy here.
I gave it an A60, so I'm even higher than
What?
Mitchell. So
I'm the fucking low man on this one.
Yes,
I
Yeah.
thought I was gonna.
sir!
Mitchell, oh, I love this movie.
From the
You're
top
still the
row.
fucking low man.
You know what? I love that you guys loved this movie
No,
because
we've picked really good movies. I just want to point that out. We picked some like banger movies for sure.
We're
well,
starting
that
this
trend
one off strong.
that trend is going to come to an end in room 1408 in the year
You don't like that movie?
2007.
No, I'm
June 22nd, 2007. Directed by Mikhail Hailstrom. Sure. Directed or starring John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson, which that's a damn lie. Putting Samuel L. Jackson on the poster, he's barely in this movie.
He's in it for 10 minutes. That's it.
This movie had a $25 million budget, made
He is like
133.
prominently on the poster too. Like
Yeah.
the other person on the poster.
And I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. First of all, the character that John Cusack plays in this movie, and I'm not a big John Cusack fan at all, which I think hurt my enjoyment of this movie a little bit. Him in the movie 2012 plays a very similar character where he's like a washed up writer. So it's very similar vibes. I think this movie is at its best when it's Samuel L. Jackson and John Cusack on screen together. I think that they work well together here. And I think that the whole please, whatever you do, don't go in this room. I don't think that any of the tension built up there, because I like more of this movie than I don't. I'm afraid that it made it sound like I didn't like this movie at all. I didn't in comparison to the other stuff that we've talked about today, but I just think that it lost a lot of steam early and couldn't deliver on the promise of that opening with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson at the hotel. But I did like the movie, and let me hear from you guys first.
There's a better Stephen King adaptation here.
So,
There's a better movie, I think. It just isn't.
I
this
don't
one.
know. I don't know if it was maybe just because of the times and the budget. Maybe they didn't have the budget for really good effects, because I think that was one of the things that was lacking in this movie. Was just it seemed like a very poorly made movie.
If you're gonna do the effects, then do them right.
To be in it.
What if you didn't have the effects at all and you just had John Cusack going crazy? I
think
would have
it
almost
could have been a better
appreciated
movie.
that movie more.
Because it just, the realism kind of took away from it, because it's a psychological terror movie. You're trapped in this room, and yet he's traveling all over the place, outside the building, through the vents, and yet he's still stuck in the room. And it's just one of those movies that kind of plays on your brain while you're watching. You're just like, wait, is this actually happening in his head? Is it happening in real life? What the fuck's going on? And then you have the whole concept of his daughter talking to him. So it's like, there's a lot of weird things. But then you have the whole building collapsing on him at one point, which is the part where I was like, all right, this is getting ridiculous.
The concept of his daughter talking to him, I think, could have just been explored more. And it's like Mitchell said, it's almost a shame that you put Samuel Jackson on the poster, because he's not in the movie.
And that was the one part of the movie that I was like, I did wish they explored that more, because to me, I feel like they were trying to kind of explore emotional trauma through the fact that he lost his daughter and hasn't coped with it, but he's dealing with all these random other things at the same time, so it just didn't really click together well for me. But then the whole ending where you have the wife hearing the voice, and it's just like, oh, this was real. So then it's like, well, was all this other shit real too? It just, I don't know. I liked it, but it just was too messy for me.
I liked the way that it concluded. It just felt to me like a very... You're right, Brandon. There is a better version of this movie out there, and it's called Shutter Island.
No, don't ruin it. I already know the ending to that movie. I've never seen it.
So,
don't
well, they don't end in the same way, but I mean, just
Yeah.
in the same like.
I'm gonna interject real quick.
Go ahead.
Speaking of endings, is a quick fun fact I want to burn. There are 4 different endings to this movie.
That's what I've heard.
Based on the version of the movie that you have watched, there's the theatrical, there's the director's cut, and then there's 2 alternate DVD releases so you have 4 different endings in total.
Now I'm gonna YouTube the ending of the other ones.
Okay,
so
yeah, I'm looking at the other ones.
But that being said, Mitchell, continue.
I think the theatrical release, that ending. Let's just get to it. I mean, the ending is good. Like, he gets the tape back. It should be melted, but it's not because it was in the case, or like whatever explanation you want to have. And then he starts playing it. And he just looks at his wife, and it's like, oh shit! Like,
no. It was I'm listening to my daughter's voice, and you just see the wife in the background, just like jaw drop, like holy shit, you were telling the truth.
Yeah.
But even still, like there is the whole almost ending where he's in the hospital, and then he realizes that like it was fake, and then he gets back in the room, and then he's back out again in real life. I'm like, I was almost skeptical of the ending. I'm like, oh, is he still in the fucking room? Because the daughter's talking.
See, I think that there's a lot of that. I kind of just mentioned Smile 2. There's a lot of those kind of fake outs in Smile 2, but I felt like the style of it and where it ultimately concluded took me on the journey that I wanted to go on. Whereas 1408, I just kind of, and this is another movie, hour 44 felt longer to me.
Yes.
I feel like ultimately it ended up in a place that I liked and that I was good with, but the journey getting there quite honestly was just a little bit too not chaotic, but just I don't know.
It had me getting annoyed with his character at one point because like the whole instance where like his hand gets like slammed by the window, and then after that fact, he continues to stick his entire body leaning completely out of the window.
Oh my god,
that never stopped pissing me off.
I was like, what
I was waiting for a Paranormal Activity event for them just like to tip him over. I was like,
you know, the window closes on its own. You know, there's a crazy lady that keeps trying to stab you. Why are you just like fully leaning yourself out the window?
You know that there's been people who quote unquote jumped.
Yes.
Like probably got pushed. Like what do we do? We're just opening ourselves up to all these different things. Yeah. I think Cusack isn't bad. He's just it's a fine performance. I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, they even said part of his like reactions towards the end was the entire movie he shot it alone, so he was basically in an empty room just acting it out by himself, and all the effects were put in later. So they said by the end he was just so emotionally exhausted, like that's what you see on screen is him just being exhausted from having to do all that stuff by himself and just go through everything without having anything to act with. So I thought that was kind of interesting, just seeing because you definitely see him look more disheveled and just kind of almost Jack Nicholson, like crazy eyed a little bit towards the end, just like kind of had enough with the room.
No, but I will reiterate: there's a better Stephen King adaptation, and I think if I read this book, I'd be like, "Holy shit, this is like scary as fuck." Whereas, like, I just didn't feel that from the movie. Like, I guess it was just the effects.
The scare factor was not there at all for me. There was like the one jump scare in the very beginning when the woman jumps at him the first time, and that gave me like a little jump, but like nothing else.
Classifying this as a horror movie feels incorrect.
It was more like a thriller. Check your smartwatch and be like, "Man, I'm still at like 90 heartbeats per minute. Like, let's get up to like 110."
The only other scene that kind of like unnerved me a little bit was when he was in the vents and that like corpse was like chasing him. That just gave me like a claustrophobic scare. I'm like, I would like have a panic attack if I was in that situation, like tight space, something behind me trying to grab me. Like, no, get me the fuck out of there.
Well, a lot of Stephen King tonight, though, so keep that in mind.
Yeah. I would give this. Now you're gonna think that I did this on purpose. I did not. I'm gonna give
1408,
it a.
baby.
I'm gonna give it a B minus. 1400.
Okay.
I did not do that on purpose, but it's just where it fell. Because if I did it on purpose, I'd have gone the whole way with it and gone 1408. But
I
that's
think
not
you
how this
should for
works.
the
You
aesthetics
should change your
of
score.
this. Yeah.
And it's unfair to whatever movie actually comes around then does have a 1408 because it deserves to be above that in the standings.
Fair enough. I'm with Mitchell. B minus 16.2.
Oh, I'm the low man. I gave it a C plus at 90.
C plus, and
Okay, yeah, you are lower.
Suggested this bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
I simply suggested because it was a unique horror movie that I'd only seen once a very, very long time ago. And I was like, oh, I feel like this would be a fun one to watch.
C plus.
Hey, it's
Tough stuff.
horror, man. They're not always going to be the cream of the crop.
No,
And
fair
speaking of things not being the cream of the crop, we've got
Children of the Corn,
Coming up
Green
next
Corn.
week.
What?
we've
No,
got
I'm just
next
kidding.
week to look forward to, where we start off with The Devil Inside, which is certainly a movie to talk about. We have The Innocents. We have, which I've never heard of before.
Which no one
Yeah.
knows about. Yeah, so we'll see how that
We have the
goes.
Jordan Peele double feature of Us and Get Out, and I actually watched both of those today. And the Evil Dead double feature of Evil Dead and Evil Dead Rise, which, fun fact, Evil Dead 2013 was the first horror movie I ever saw. So we started
Really?
in the deep end, folks.
Damn. I actually haven't seen that one yet.
So yeah, no, it'll be fun to watch those. And
I hate the Evil Dead movies. They're so scary, dude.
Tommy and I
They're
were
tough
not big
to watch.
fans of the original Evil Dead movies last year, so
Yeah, not a big
maybe
fan.
the new ones are more our speed. So anyway, 31 Nights of Horror underway. Talk to you next week.